All righty, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the Go Team weekly coach call. Very excited to have you part of us tonight. Let me share my screen with you real fast. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, and can you see that? Thumbs up, everybody, if you can. Very good. All right, there's Jen. Look at how pretty. She's pretty. Nice job. Good selfie shot there. Good work. Wanted just to say real quick, guys, we are here to always equip and inspire you. Tonight's going to be a little bit of both because we got a special guest who's going to probably bring the heat for both ways of that, both of those. And with the essentials to bring build freedom building. I can say this right. To build freedom bringing businesses, help people achieve their goals and live healthy, fulfilling lives. So guys, really, we are, the more I'm doing this, the more I see you guys start to take off in this and start to make this your own business. And it's not just because Dan like knocks on your door and says, hey, how's it going? It's like you actually run with it and do your own stuff and you make up your own challenges and you make it your own. That's when it just lights my fire to see you guys kind of like your own fires, which is really cool. All right, quick recognition here. Almost people to Success Club 10. And I'm like 2 points away. This has been kind of a slow month for me, and I hate to say that. But we'll talk about why in just a second and my solution for that. So it's been a little bit of a slow month for me getting going. Usually I'm at Success Club 10 at this point, and some of you I know are as well. And I think we're doing pretty well, but I think we can continue to just keep helping people and reaching out, which is going to be really fantastic. Now, I'm going to do a quick switch here. Hold on. We'll get to that in a second. So guys, I have a big announcement. We are going to start this Wednesday, a real fun thing. It's going to be 2 weeks long. Okay. And we're going to basically call it an invite / it's part of the invite process, which is connecting with people. So it's going to be an invite surge for 2 weeks. Okay. And what this is going to do, guys, is it's going to allow us, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this, and we're going to treat it like a challenge, like you would a regular challenge. Okay. And we are actually going to be crazy, and we're going to use the challenge tracker app as coaches for coaching behaviors. Yes, it's possible. It's so crazy. We're going to live on the edge. So basically what we're going to do, and check this out real fast, is every day the goal is going to be minimally to connect with 10 people. Connect. Hey, Doris, how are you? What's been going on? I haven't talked to you in a while. Hey, Sam, love that so there's like you got a new car. It looks really awesome. When did you get it? Questions like that kind of stuff. Doesn't have to be all personal messages, can be some personal messages, but also can be where it's comments engaging, where there's actual comments that are engaging people on their timelines. Then we will be inviting to something. I don't care what you invite them to. You can invite them to a free group. You can invite them to a free challenge. You can invite them to get some free recipes from you. And I will give everybody, once again, it's a PDF, 4 free recipes from Fixate. Hey, we're just thinking about you. We'd love to, I've got this free recipe book that I thought you might be helpful for you and your kid or for your family, eating healthy. Would you like me to have that or give that to you? Yeah, sounds great. Just invite. Once you guys getting comfortable with the invite process, we'll talk about more of that tonight with our guest speaker, which is going to be awesome. But connect with 10 people, invite 5 people daily. There are going to be prizes throughout, and I'm going to be watching in the tracker app. So check out how this is going to work, basically long and short of it. You're going to have, in our tracker app, we don't have connect and invite, right? But basically, workout is going to be translated connect. Shakeology is going to be translated invite or vice versa. I want to decide that. It's not a big deal, okay? But those are going to be your behaviors. If you got your 10 in, you check. Bink. You check in whichever one it is, workout or Shakeology. Same thing, invite, same thing, and you check that out. It's very simple. Allows me to kind of take a peek where y'all are at, okay? And then to challenge, and we'll have a little leaderboard that we're going to kind of go with. I think this is just going to be one of those things, guys, that it's going to keep us on track. And guess what? The reason why I'm creating this, guys, is because I feel like we need to do it. Excuse me, like I feel like I need to do it. Okay? I need that accountability. And when I know, so like in my group right now, this is what I've been doing as well. It's going to start Wednesday. Yep. It's going to start on Wednesday. Reason why I want to do that is I just want to get everybody's emails. I want to get everybody invited. So everybody's, and you're going to have to get past that little kind of the setup and just skip all that stuff in the front where it says put in your weight and all that jazz right now. Okay. I don't want to, and not that I don't want you guys working out still. I still do want that, obviously. But we're not going to use the tracker for that particular purpose for this one. Does that make sense, everybody? Make sense? So workout's going to be one. It's going to be, I think we'll just do it that way. So workout will be connects because that's the first thing that happens, and it's the left and right. And then Shakeology is the second one, and that will be your invites. Okay, 10 and 5. And that's not a crazy ton of stuff, guys. And I know, and here's the deal. I'm only going to ask for this 5 days a week. 5 days a week. So you don't have, you can pick your days off. You can get caught up. That's great. But you're going to need to make sure you're checking in. And we're going to try to get 5 days a week on that. Okay? And I think it'll really help you build some momentum. Carl Deichler in our I'm Here to Help group posted today about don't run, his basic message was don't run on ice. Okay? And the thing is, sometimes we want to get going. We see other people working hard. And we're like, dang, I got to get going, so I got to run. So you start running, but you don't have any traction yet. You don't have enough. You haven't built enough connects into your sales funnel, in order to start get traction with your invites, because we haven't really connected enough, or maybe you haven't posted enough, maybe necessarily on social media, in order to get people aware that you're doing anything with Beachbody, right? And so what that is that as we start to get more traction, you can start to run because you've got actually like now cleats that can dig into the ice. Okay, that was the example that he gave, and I thought it was a pretty good example. But what happens a lot is when we see people and they're hitting Success Club high numbers, and you're like, man, I just got to run faster. I just got to do it. I wish. And you're like, oh man, I wish I could, but but you need to ultimately get more traction when you get started, okay? And that's going to be with this. Hopefully, the surge is going to encourage that. Okay, so that's the surge. Real quickly as well, inviting to our sneak peek, which is going to be next week. Okay, so this would be kind of a fun. This would be part of this could be one of your invites each day. You could say, you know what, I'm going to do one of my 5 is going to be an invite to our sneak peek. Maybe, or maybe even just a couple days of the week, you'll invite a couple people, okay? And these can be your challengers. It can be people who have past interest before, people who really could maybe even use this whole, just a different, a great and encouraging environment around them. You know, again, discerning on that, guys, I think is really, really helpful, okay? So that's next week, and we'll make sure we've got an actual event. You know what? I think I set that up last week. We were doing that. Yeah, I'll make sure we get that set up this week, okay? Lastly, UV2, okay? Did anybody do the sneak peek into that? Did anybody do that workout? No? Anybody? Raise your hands. Oh, man. It was so crazy and fun. I mean, seriously. I had a time warp back to Richard Simmons. I totally did. It's amazing. But the cool part about it, guys, and I'm not kidding you, it's definitely probably not my main style, but I can so see how it's going to be fun. I mean, it is absolutely fun. And if there's one thing about Leandro, guys, I don't know if you guys have done, is he available? Probably not. I think it usually, so Steph just asks, will it be available when we wake up? Is there a specific time? It's usually noon our time, which is noon Eastern for most of us, okay? Generally when it's available, okay? And that's, the cool part is, this is a fun way to reach out. So some of you who have sold all access challenge packs, right? How fun to reach out to your customers who are already existing, and maybe they've even they signed up in January and they've already fallen off. How fun to come back to them and go, hey, guess what? There's a new program out, and you don't have to pay anything extra for it. Do you want to hop on our next challenge that's starting here in June? You want to come join us and try this new program out? That could be really cool. All right, going to give you an inviting strategy, guys, real fast here that I want to talk about as it relates to these new releases and the fact that you have, we've got Beachbody On Demand. Okay, so you guys understand it's a 4-week program, but sorry, let me get a couple details about UV2. It's a 4-week program, 5 workouts per week, about 30 minutes each. You guys all got that? Okay. And it is the sale price for just UV2 and Shakeology. And I'm sorry, I don't know if it has portion containers. Does anyone know if it has portion containers? I didn't check that out. I don't think it does. It might. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. UV2. Let's see. Promo, Inspire, workout length. I don't see. Yeah, because it's only $39, guys, for the base kit, just so you know. The base kit's only $39. I don't think it comes with food containers, okay? You can filter club members, but there's no way to filter all access. Correct. I think probably maybe just if you know from the past what you've done, Courtney, that's a good point. You can filter club members, okay, but you don't know about all access versus regular. But generally, so if you filter all access, most people who have signed 2017 are going to be probably all access for the most part. Okay, so if you did like sign up date from January, I think it was December like 27th, I think is when it released of 2016 through now, that would be all your BOD, all your club, most of your club memberships are going to probably be that. And if you miss somebody, you're just going to say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry or whatever. But for the most part, what a great message to send people extra value. Now, quick strategy I want to show you about inviting to the challenge pack, okay? So this is for new people. This is not for your existing people. This is for somebody you reach out brand new, and it's a new program. Maybe you mention about it. Maybe you show yourself doing some of the moves. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm so back in the, I'm back with Richard Simmons, but it's really cool and it's fun. And you show yourself doing it. Maybe, I don't know, you show a video. But the idea is, guys, this. Some of you are concerned, like you're like, well, why would I offer this program if BOD, right? You're like, the BOD is, of course, the better value. Exactly. So check this out. Here's what we do. We have you. Wow, something's slashing on my screen. You guys all see red on my on your screen? I do. Someone totally slashed me. And I didn't even touch anything. Someone's like, that's crazy. Anyway, but so the idea, guys, being if you have people and you're asking them to kind of get signed up for this, but the cool part is you can take them through just like a normal process, like you normally would through any challenge pack process, the questioning process. Remember our scripting, right? So you have that scripting process, you take them through that. You get to the end of it, and you go, hey, and you talk to them about BOD, or sorry, no, you haven't talked to them about BOD yet. You talked about UV2, okay? And so you send them a video, they understand about Shakeology, there's some good, sounds good. Okay, so this runs $140. Now check this out. For just $20 more, so they're like, this sounds really good. I think I'd really be interested. I'd like to do this. Okay, great. Let me give you one last thing. For $20 more, you're going to get our portion control system. You're going to get the UV2 entire program and deluxe workouts within that. I think there's also deluxe. Did I see that? No, there's only a base kit, so there's no deluxe. So you'll get that, and then you get every Beachbody workout beyond this. Every Beachbody workout beyond this for only $20 more. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right, guys? It's kind of a no-brainer, and I use that terminology. It's kind of a no-brainer for $20 more. That's like 4 Starbucks drinks, right? 4 Starbucks drinks, and they have already covered that for an entire year, right? Which is also going to get new releases. So Shift Shop will be on there as well. So it's good stuff. Does that make sense? A little strategy there. I think that might be helpful. Okay, any questions, any comments about UV2 before we move on, and then we'll get rolling. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. So I'm going to stop, or actually go to this real fast. Wow, I've got seriously, it's so crazy how we have these marks. Let me stop the share. Maybe that will help. Yes, it did. No more red. That's good. I was like up here like this with my hands. So it's anyway. All right. So guys, we have a very special guest. She comes from the land of Notre Dame, which I'm very excited. Formerly the land of Virginia. Am I right? Yes. Yep. She was formerly.
Yeah. Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech. She was a Virginia Tech gal. Her husband is a coach as part of the women's swim team, right? Correct? Or
men and women's.
Men and women. Okay, both, which is great. And he just started last summer, I think. Late summer, I think is sort of how it worked. Is when you.
Yeah. We moved here in August as a family, but he was here. He started in like end of June last year, almost a year ago.
So fantastic. Now, the cool thing about Courtney is she just comes with, I think, a wealth of experience, guys. And the cool part is she's had, because of the location, she's had to move sort of with her husband's job. She's had these little hubs of people all kind of across the nation in each of these moves, and she's built her teams on each area, which has been really cool. So she's 8-star diamond. She's also 1-star in her spouse's second business center. Okay, she is a Success Club All-Star for 45 months. All-Star Legend. Of course, that's the 2-year worth of that, and she's well beyond that. She's 3 times elite, which is huge. And she was in the 22-minute hardcore test group. Good stuff. She's also a former teacher. She's mom of 2 boys, and they're very, very cute. I've seen them. Again, she was a swim coach. And she also, as she made a note to me real fast here, is lover of all things chocolate and pumpkin. Is that simultaneously chocolate and pumpkin? Simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, you can do them both in your shake. It's yummy.
See, I tried that whole chocolate and pumpkin thing, and I almost gagged on it. Now, I like the vanilla version, like doing pumpkin and vanilla. That worked for me, but the pumpkin and chocolate, I'm like, what? You guys are crazy. These don't go together. Anyway, all right. Well, Courtney, welcome. And so thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for coming on a busy Monday night. I want to just give you guys, I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about fear or things that are kind of maybe holding you back from reaching your full potential, not just even in coaching. Coaching is one piece of your life, right? But I feel like it integrates so much into all the other pieces of our purpose of what we do here, right? Because coaching isn't like other companies where it's sales of products. This is about walking alongside of somebody on a transformation, a lifestyle change. And so I think it just fully encompasses so many things. But with that, because we are, in charge of somebody's life, essentially, right? Like helping them gain the tools, the confidence, the access, the information. We can also present a lot of fear up front, right? Because this isn't just, giving somebody something and then that's the end of it. This is a trust and a relationship that's being built. And I know for me, that's an area that is a strength of mine, but I also see that is an area that my coaches seem to really be held back, is that, what if I fail them? That fear of, what if I can't serve them the way I want to? And so I want to take some time tonight to kind of talk to you guys about that, because a lot of that is really a lot of limiting beliefs that you've instilled upon yourself, or maybe they're related to an experience that you've had or something that, you wish you could have done differently. But that's the beauty of coaching and writing our story about who we are as a coach. And, who's the tribe that we want to build and surround ourselves with every day? What do we want our challenge groups to look and feel like, right? And you get control over that. And it's a trial and error process, you guys. I am not the same coach that I was 4 years ago, but I am the same person I was 4 years ago. But I have grown and I've evolved and I've learned how to, be better at it. So if I took my first challenge group and used that as a yardstick to decide my worth as a coach, I don't know if I'd still be here, right? Because it wasn't perfect. And my groups still aren't perfect, right? Like no one recipe works the same because we're dealing with people, right? Like if those of you, anybody teachers, if you guys hop in the chat, tell me what your profession is, right? But regardless of what you're doing, but as a teacher, if I every year just tried to have the same information it's not always going to work, right? Like we have curriculum we have to deliver, but your faces change. The children's behaviors change. What their needs are change. And so we, as a person who's serving others, can't just stay the same. We have to continue to sharpen our tools, continue to add to our skill set so we can better, grow ourselves, but then also be able to help people in a better way. So same thing with nurses.
Courtney,
Yes.
just a quick second. So I want to just remind everybody, I think it's just as a quick reminder here, because she's going to start getting into even more of her content as she goes here. Make sure if you've got something to take some notes with, studies show continuously that any form of note-taking, there you go, any form of note-taking, if you can, honestly, the writing down is actually proven to be one of the best, actually handwriting it down versus typing. But if you're kind of digital like me, you can do that. So I just want to kind of make sure you're aware of doing that. So take some notes. Don't miss out on this, guys. Okay, that's great. So continue.
Thanks. So, the same thing, you're a nurse and you have the skills and the training, but every person who comes in is going to present different obstacles. There's a different stepping, there might be different steps you have to take. I mean, outside of obviously your safety and protocol and all of that, but really investigating and listening and understanding how to better serve that person. And so that is the same thing that translates over to coaching. And I try to really help my coaches understand, what their role is in their job that they're excelling at, and how coaching just is a different form of, if this is a passion for them, this is where they want to serve people. It's the same thing. We just have to figure out what's holding us back and what's keeping us from truly, arriving on the goals that we're fighting for. So I want to give you guys a little bit of my background and my story of how I ended up here, because that really, for me, is where the fear came from, okay? As Dan shared, my husband is a college swimming coach and recruiting coordinator. So we've moved several times since we've been together. And when I married him, I knew that this was going to be an adventure. I knew probably every 4 or 5 years we would be moving. And I looked at it as just that, an adventure. What a great way for us to experience other places of the country. What a great way for us to, continue to build our professional careers. I have a degree in early childhood. I taught preschool for almost 4 years, and I was getting my master's full time. I'm a former college swimmer. So I'm somebody who's used to just always having a lot on my plate. I don't really know what to do with downtime. And I'll be honest, when I have downtime, I am the most lazy person, because I don't even know how to create structure out of nothing. So I like my day to be busy. And when it's not busy, I get very little done. So, for me, when I started coaching, when I was working full time, it didn't really seem like more, because it aligned to what it was that I was trying to achieve and the goals that I was working on. So I spent that time getting my master's degree as an intervention specialist. I always wanted to be a teacher. I mean, I don't even think I knew that there were other such careers that existed, because I was, the 3 and 4 year old that was lining up all her dolls and just bossing them around and teaching them things. And mom was like, you always just wanted to be a teacher. We don't have a family. We don't come from a family of teachers. So that's not really a career that, my mom was, and my grandma, that wasn't something. I just always loved being in front of other people, adding value to them, even though it was my dolls and whatever in my bedroom. And I just knew that was my career path. I knew I was destined to do. I didn't know anything about much of really what it took to be a teacher, but I was going to do it. So, I was swimming 20 plus hours a week. I finished a 4.5-year program in 4 years. And I just took, did whatever I had to do to get done, because I didn't want to graduate in December and then have to wait 6 months to get a teaching job. So I just made sure that I took more classes when I need to. And then I got a master's degree as an intervention specialist, and I really, special ed was really where I wanted to be. I just knew that that was, the area I wanted to serve. That's where I really wanted to make a difference in the classroom. But it was when I was teaching in that early childhood job, it was at a lab school. So a lot of universities have lab schools where they have, pre-service teachers that come in and they get to observe and they get to learn. It's part of their classroom curriculum. And you as the lead teacher get a chance to supervise and be part of their college experience. And that was actually when my eyes were open to higher education, because again, not really knowing a lot about other careers, because I was so focused on teaching, I fell in love with the adult learner and being able to work with the adult learner. Now, I'm going to remind you guys, I was 22 and 23 at the time, so it was really my peer, but I really loved and I could relate to their struggle, that leap between what's next after college and just sort of being a mentor to them, being a friend, and as somebody that had recently done that, which I think translates over to this coaching thing, that whole feel, felt, found. have all the answers, but I can navigate alongside of you kind of thing. And our next move was to Buffalo, New York. And that is when I fell in love with my dream job. I mean, I was hired in the athletics department as a learning specialist. So my job was to work with at-risk student athletes to arrange tutorial services, learning specialists, coordinate with instructors if they had tests they needed to take on the road. There are no, IEPs and 504 plans when they transition to college. So, yes, there's an extension of accommodations they're eligible for, but I was sort of the middleman to help ease that transition for everybody to make sure that they were getting the services that they needed to be eligible to play in their arena. Of course, they were doing all the work. I was just helping them navigate. And that was when I really fell in love with what I was doing. And I knew, like, in the back of my head, I knew we wouldn't be there forever. I knew that I was really getting myself into a really narrow scope and field where our next move, it's going to be really hard to find a job that's similar to that. So I was cautious about it, but I just fell in love. And when my husband got the job at Virginia Tech, which was his dream job, we knew we had to go. It wasn't even an option. He took a little pay cut. I took a $25,000 pay cut, and I said, we have to go. Like, this is exactly what needs to happen. It was terrifying because that was a lot of income we were, to lose. This was before we had children, but even at that time, on 2 teaching salaries, you're just really getting by. So to take that big of a pay cut was really pretty huge. And knowing that having children was on our horizon. And so we moved to Virginia. He's thriving in his career. He's loving what he's doing. I accepted a job. I was hired very quickly. I accepted a job that on paper should have been, again, my dream job. But I walked in to my interview and sort of got a lay of the land. I'm an observer. So I'm somebody who's I'm pretty intuitive about what's going on. And I could tell that this was an office that had a lot of potential to serve a lot of students, but was doing absolutely nothing. They had a record book there where the students would sign in. My interview was on a Friday, and there were 3 people's names on that paper for the entire week. And there's 4 people in this office. I knew I was going to be bored out of my mind, but the fear for me was, I can't be without a job. Like, we're not going to be able to survive without a job. So I accepted this job out of fear that I wouldn't have a job. And I remember leaving that interview and calling my husband and saying, they're going to hire me. Like, I'm more than qualified for this job. I can just tell that I'm the person that they want. And I said, and I'm going to be bored out of my mind. I just know that's what's going to happen. And he said, all right, well, let's just, take it, step by step, if there's something else. And the athletics department had offered me a job as well. But knowing that we were sort of in this plan of, phase of planning our family, I knew that both of us working in athletics was not going to be a very good fit for us, especially not having help with family. He's gone a lot. Like, he's gone some months, 3-4 weeks of the month. I was working nights in athletics, most, like, our study hall was open till 10 p.m. So I just knew that having children and us both in athletics was not going to be a good fit. So I needed to take this job, and maybe I could explore a network and meet some new people. But again, I was bored out of my mind. And with that boredom, you guys, became a very complacent version of myself. Not one I'm proud of. Over those 2 years that I worked at that university, I was angry. I was grumpy. I was lazy. I was the person that I was never before. But you become who you surround yourself with, right? And here I am working in an office of people that are okay doing nothing all day. They're okay if they're not actually serving people because they're getting a paycheck at the end of the day. Well, I was somebody who watched my parents and still watch my parents go to work for a paycheck every day. Middle class, working Americans, high school educated, no college degrees. They will sadly probably work the rest of their life without a really good retirement plan. That's their part of my why and vision, is to be able to help retire them in some way. But that was part of my fear, was that I don't want to wake up in 30 years and have my kids watch me go to a job just to go to a job. Like, I deserve more than that. They deserve more than that. I'm not serving people. And when you are meant to serve people and you go to work every day and you serve nobody, you turn into a really terrible version of yourself. And so at the same time, I've now had our oldest son. I've been following friends on Facebook who were Beachbody coaches. You guys, I had no idea what Beachbody was. I've never done a home fitness video. I had never had a shake. To me, it appeared they were really taking good care of themselves. They were, doing home fitness, which I wanted no part of because I'm a total gym rat, and I want to get out of my house and I want to, socialize with people. And I'm not a shake person, but good for them, taking good care of themselves. until one day, after a year of following and several invites with crickets, you guys, I wasn't even somebody that just messaged back and said, tell me more. Not right now. I was the person who just ignored them. Like, nope, sorry, ick. I can't believe they just asked me that. Like, I was that person, you guys, because I didn't really understand what they were doing. But you guys, I watched, like all those messages brought me closer to watching and dialing in more to what exactly it was that they were doing. You guys need to go back to bed. My kids are not sleeping here, and my husband's on a recruiting call. So this could get interesting, guys. So anyway, so I just, look at it. I know, guys, you need to go back to bed. Can you go back to bed, please? Or maybe go downstairs where Daddy is. Go interrupt Daddy. Go downstairs in the basement, please. Yeah, go get Daddy. His call's supposed to be over, so.
Yes.
Yeah. Mommy went. Go in the basement, guys. Go get Daddy.
Kate's cracking up here because it's all real. I know,
right? Sorry, guys. This is real life here. So I don't even know what I was saying here.
You got oh shoot, help us. So
I got distracted.
Scared of living out or being, I'm sorry.
Oh, right. So my friends, I was watching them, right? And the invites, and I was turning them down. And then one day when this guy, Brody, who's now almost 5, when he was about 10 months old or so, and I saw one of my uplines had posted her resignation letter from her teaching job and said, in a very tasteful way that, because of this fitness journey and taking care of herself every day and inspiring other people, she gets to be home with her babies. And then I was watching, and then I understood that, okay, this wasn't just fitness and like them taking care of themselves. This was her actually finding a vehicle to get herself out of a situation that she didn't want to be in, to bring her home closer to her kids. Because I was the working mom, unhappy in my job, spending 1 hour a day with my son. I was leaving at 7:15 in the morning. My husband would do daycare drop off, so he was still sleeping when I would leave. And then I would pick him up at daycare at 5:45 p.m. I had a 45-minute commute each way to work. At 5:45 p.m., we get in the door about 6:15, and he was in bed by 7. So I was spending less than an hour a day with my son, doing a job that I didn't enjoy, and I just saw this as then my opportunity, like, wow, okay, well, first of all, we could really use maybe just an extra couple $100s a month if this is something that, would provide me value, would provide other people value, because I can't go to this job every day. I can't keep doing this. I'm bored out of my mind, and I need a solution. So this became my solution. Guys, please don't touch this, okay? This is a board, buddy, which I'm going to use. Can you go see Daddy, please?
Rock Daddy phone?
Yes, please. Sorry. So I just dove in, you guys. I started as a challenger. I joined when T25 was just being launched. And again, like all the signs were just sort of speaking to me. I needed a fast solution. As somebody that always valued fitness, I'd stopped taking care of myself. No, you're not. Stop. Brody, come on. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Dan.
Okay.
So I know I'm just like so distracted now. But
I'm hungry.
Okay, you need to go find Daddy. I'm on a call, please. So I that point I knew I could just dive in. I remember walking my husband, having the phone call with my friend, and asking her, of course, like, how much is this going to cost? Because finances was not something that we had a lot of extra money. But I knew that I needed to take care of myself. I was yawning through that 1 hour a day I had with my son, and I knew that he deserved more. I knew that I deserved more, and that this could be a solution. I was shown that this could be a solution, and I believed that I could make a difference in this because I understood the impact and the value of what Carrie and Aaron were doing because I knew them. I trusted them. I knew that they would guide me the right way, but I also knew that I was going to have to take full ownership of this, right? Like, I needed to dive in and first and foremost, take care of myself, transform myself. I didn't let myself believe that I couldn't do it. I can fit in 25 minutes of fitness every day. I can replace one meal with Shakeology. I can, drink 64 ounces of water a day. I can take better care of myself, and I can buy back time with my family. My son was 1 year old. We knew we wanted to have more children, but I didn't really want to have more kids, knowing that I'd have less time to give them and less energy to give them, less resources to give them. Financially, we were just getting by, which, we weren't in any way, luckily, really not in any debt, because our swimming abilities paid for our college. So we didn't have any college debt, but we really weren't getting ahead. There was no savings account. There were no family vacations. And this is where I'm going to kind of weave into the fear, you guys, because I'll hear a lot of people say, I'm afraid I'll fail people on their journey. I'm scared to ask people, like, what if they say no? But for me, fear was sort of the opposite of that, because when I was actually ready to dive in, I saw fear as something that drove me, because my fear was waking up 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 years, and still sitting at that job, hating it. My fear was, my kids going off to college, and during the week, I had spent 1 hour a day with them. Like if you add up the time, that's not very much time to really get to know and love your kids. Of course, you make the most of that 1 hour. But I needed more. You just knew that I needed more as a mom. I needed to be a bigger part of raising them than just 1 hour a day. And my other fear was, we don't live near family. I want my parents to know their grandchildren. I want to be able to book flights to go visit them and it not to be a financial burden. I want to be able, we got tears. I want to be able to have the ability to fly them here to see their grandchildren if they can't afford to do that. And I just saw this as a vehicle for that. I see that, buddy. Where's Daddy? Okay, go get him, please. So I saw this as, a true opportunity for me to find a solution. And so I let those fears drive me, because what's on the other side of that? Inviting somebody to join my challenge group wasn't as scary as a life of being uninspired and a life of sitting at a desk where I was bored all day. Inviting somebody to join a challenge group wasn't as scary as my parents passing away and my kids never knowing them. Like, that was fear for me. And I saw and I knew that I could be good at this. I've been sharing this a lot with my team, and this has really been impactful. For those of you that had a chance to earn the Elizabeth Gilbert Success Club call in January, it was incredible. She talked about fear. She's one of my favorite authors. If you've ever read, I'm going to read you something out of Big Magic here soon. But she said, she talked about fear and how fear is like ever present in our life, right? Like, at some point as a kid, like, we're not fearful. Babies aren't afraid to take those first few steps. They're cautious. They're trying to learn their surroundings and their balance, but they're not afraid. But at some point there's a switch, right? Like, we stop being adventurous. We stop doing things that put us out of our comfort zone. And she said it so perfectly, because she said, on the other side of fear is the unknown, and we don't like not knowing how the story ends, right? So we're not necessarily one to wander off the path that's not predictable, because we don't know how the story might end. And that scares us. And because of that, we just do what's safe. But you guys, that's a comfort zone. And I don't know if Dan talks to you guys about this, but nothing great happens in comfort zones, you guys. Where you're at is where you'll probably stay for the next 30, 40, 50 years. And for some people, that's okay. But if you're here as a coach, it's because you decided you wanted to make a change. You decided that you wanted to change more than you wanted to stay the same. Whether it had been in, starting first in your transformation story, you didn't sign up to do a challenge group because you didn't want to get results. You signed up to do a challenge group because you wanted to be a better version of yourself, whatever that why was, right? And coaching is the same. It doesn't mean that, your goals are the same as my goals or the same as Dan's goals, but whatever your goals are, you can't let that unknown fear hold you back from getting there, because it will. Chaos is hard to disrupt. Okay. Hold on. I need to get my husband, you guys.
Go. I want to say, I can say something too. So guys, this is interesting. So I just did this with my challenge group today, which is kind of amazing that she would do this at this, or would kind of put this out. So those of you guys who are in part of my challenge group, I asked for people to go, what was my hashtag? My negative life, I think, yeah, is what I put. I had them hashtag and either go live or type about it. And I still have to go back and review what some of them said. I watched some of them. But the idea is, guys, is teasing out the potential of where, so what I said is, had this fitness journey not wound up in your hands, or if you decided to not do this, and you just kept going the direction that you prior to this had, where would you have been, say, 10 years, 20 years down the line? Tease that out. And so it'd be kind of like the negative version of your life. And so what they did is the whole point of, for me, it was like, I was going to be a type 2 diabetic, all these things. And I think the exact same thing we can play out in coaching as well. And I think that's what Courtney's sort of getting at here too, is the fact that her fear is ultimately the fact of not living out the great potential in her life, right? Is not living out the possibility of what she possibly could accomplish, and sort of just settling in for what's comfortable and what might be safe, instead of actually exploring what might be. Okay, has anybody seen the movie Moana? Any Moana people? Come on, like the best movie ever. What? Steph, you have to watch it with your daughter, like right now. But anyway, Moana, the whole idea of going out, not the safety of the island. She has to leave. She has to go. She has to find who she's meant to be. Anyway, so very good stuff. But I think that's that fear that holds us back. That's really literally the fear that's holding us on the island, to use Moana as the example. So anyway.
Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
I'm sure we'll have more interruptions. But so here's what my whole point, and this is what I told my team, was that, fear can come with you, right? Like, fear is something we all need to carry with us to protect us, whenever there's present danger, whenever there's going to be people you talk to that you're like, no, like, this is not maybe a good fit for your team, or there's things that kind of pull you away from them. You guys, some levels of fear are you need to have, but for most of us, our fear is pretty selfish. Like, I'm afraid to invite because I'm afraid of what they might think. I'm afraid to offend them. But you guys, that's selfish. Like, if they never invited me to do this, I would still probably be sitting at that desk, right? And I would be pissed at them because they never invited me, or they never planted the seed, right? They never gave me the information to make the decision on my own that this was something I wanted to do. If they never shared their journey on social media, I was following for an entire year, you guys. So I always thank Carrie for continuing to keep going, even though I gave her crickets, because had she given up at month 3 or 4 because people gave her crickets or nobody was replying, I may not have found my way here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't give up when it just gets hard. That's actually hard is when the work starts. And that Autumn said that the other day, or maybe it wasn't Autumn. I was doing something else and she said, your work doesn't start when you start. Your work starts when it gets hard. Because when it gets hard is when people want to quit. They want to give up. They start questioning themselves. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. My warm market is dead. I've talked to 12 people and I don't have anybody else to help. That's the fear. And that's really, honestly, that's all inside of you. And you need to dig deeper into some personal development. You need to talk to more people. And you just have to keep going, you guys. The work you do now is going to repay you a year from now. And that's something that was planted in my head very early on in this business, that, if you want to be successful, be here 2 years from now. Because those people that quit between now and 2 years are never going to reap, all those seeds that they sow. You're like a farmer. All those plants your season, you're planting, you're going to have a harvest, but not if you're not here to harvest it, not if you've decided to go somewhere else, right? So you have to just keep going and set those goals and decide, what does fear look like for you? And not what scares you, but what's the reality of your life if you don't do something about it, right? So here's the quote that she says, that Elizabeth Gilbert uses, shared during that wasn't a podcast, that interview that we all get to sit on. And she said, you're allowed to take fear with you in the minivan, but it cannot sit in the front seat. And this was something that just smacked me right in the face. And I thought, how many things have I been doing that I've allowed fear to sit in my front seat, you guys? Because fear's not, doesn't matter if you're an emerald coach or a diamond coach or you're a 15-star diamond coach. Fear doesn't discriminate against your rank, right? Fear is going to be there for all of us. I do something every day that terrifies me, but I do it not for me. I do it for other people. I do it because I know that if I was never invited, I may not be here. So I can't hold someone else's future captive in my mouth. I need to take the initiative to be able to invite them, to be able to share this amazing opportunity with them, And anytime that there's fear that's sitting in the front, I have to remind it. Daddy's up from his call now, taking them up to bed.
Go, Dad.
I have to be able to kick fear to the back of the van, right? And so that is like an ongoing statement on our team now, where we say, somebody will give a suggestion and you can tell somebody's like thinking on it and they're really nervous, and somebody will just say fear to the back of the van. Like, just go for it. Who are those people on your dream team that would enrich your life so much by having them around you every single day? Those are people that need to be sitting in the front seat with you, in the van, driving, navigating with you, right? Like, those are the people you want in your tribe. You get to build your tribe. I thought that was the most exciting part about this when I started, was knowing that I get to decide who's coming with me. I get to decide, who's going to help me get to my goals. And I will tell you guys, when I first started, we didn't know anything, right? Like, you guys have training and tools and maybe almost too much of it, right? When I started, and maybe it's the same for you, Dan, there were no tools and trainings and resources. It was like, here's your challenge group. Okay. You're going to start. You're going to take your before and after pictures. You're going to get your stats, and you're going to push play every day for the next 10 weeks, and you're going to document your journey on social media. And you want to be successful. You're going to go Emerald in the next 2 weeks, and you're going to hit Success Club. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to share this, because we don't want to do this alone. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's not just me doing the work. It's you doing the work and you doing the work and inspiring more people to come along with you. And it's that snowball effect, that avalanche, right? And when there's sort of a break in the chain, you have to figure out how to get that person courageous enough to start sharing their journey. And that was our training there. And I was like, I don't even know what Success Club is. So don't worry about it, girl. I'll tell you when you get there, but just start talking to people, start inviting them. Okay, I will. My first two customers was my coworker, who, immediately noticed the changes that was happening. Because again, you guys, I was working in an office of a lot of grumpy, bored people. So when I started coming with a smile on my face and was inspired, people were like, what are you doing? Like, you're happy. This is like the most unhappy office ever, and you're happy. So what's in your cup? I want some of the happy juice. And I eventually had the entire office drinking Shakeology and getting up and moving every day rather than just sitting at their desk like a bunch of lumps on logs, And I had the ability to do that, but I didn't let fear. I didn't walk in, to office like holding my cup like this. I was confident because I believed in what I was doing. And my transformation started from the second that I said yes, and I decided to do this, because I knew that I didn't want to do it alone. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm never scared or never afraid, because I am. But I honestly just share my story. I share my heart. I share about how I was the mom who didn't have any time with her kids, and I didn't want a life of that. I wanted to buy back time. That's all I could do. All I was going to have was 1 hour for the rest of my life with my kids. It better be the best hour of my life. And before I started coaching, it wasn't. It was a lot of yawning. It was a lot of exhaustion. It was a lot of rushing through the routines just to get him to bed so I could sit on the sofa and do nothing, because I was exhausted of pretty much doing nothing all day. It's amazing how when you're that uninspired, you can do anything else. Yes. Yeah.
So the thing that hits me on this, I've heard a lot of coaches talk about this, and I think it might play in, is especially when it relates to fear of inviting or posting on social media, and the fact of, I think a lot of us are concerned about what other people think about us.
Yeah.
Is that accurate, guys out there, that you're worried about is kind of coming off as the fitness nut, a little too into it, a little too excited, a little too whatever, again, whatever your version of that is. What would you suggest for, what would you tell someone in that's worried about those people? And they're and it's legitimate. It's not just even made up in their minds of what people, some of it we usually expand it way more than it is in our minds, number one.
Right.
But there are some legitimate where there's people around us that kind of we're an easy target, so they start pecking at us. What do you suggest?
I think this is where, if you've never read The Energy Bus, that's a great book.
Oh,
but, you have to not worry so much about the few people who don't enjoy your posts, and let's focus on the people who do enjoy and are inspired and are watching, right? Because if Carrie had allowed those few naysayers to knock her down, I would never have joined this business, right? I would never have helped her earn multiple six figures, right? Because I'm helping her to teamwork makes the dream work, right? So you want to find strong people that are going to help, complete your team. And it's tough, you guys. Like there are times I still post things and I run away from my computer. And I will tell you, the people that I worry about the most is really my family, which is so silly because they're such a big part of why I do this. But I will tell you, not a single person in my family drinks Shakeology outside of my husband. They don't have any desire to. They don't really have any desire to understand. Like I'm almost the weird person because I take good care of myself. And sadly, that's sort of some of our society. But you guys, I have helped a lot of people, and they may not, I've helped, my family supports me and they love me, but they're just not necessarily interested in drinking what's in my cup. They haven't quite understood the whole science behind it yet. And it's not lack of me trying. But I tread lightly there because they're my family, right? Like I can't clean up my friends list from my family. But you have to just, again, be really confident in why you're doing this, and all your posts shouldn't just be about fitness, you guys. You need to really think about who you are as a person, right? Like what value do you have to add to people? Because when I started, my goal every day was to add value to one person every single day. And it wasn't really always having to be about fitness. It was about a mom struggle. It was about, a tip with my dogs. It was about a yard tip. It was, whatever your passions and your hobbies are, like drill down on those. Like what are the 4 or 5 things that really define you? Like what do you stand for? Like whether it be family or faith or food or fitness or, I don't know, makeup or fashion, whatever it is, like choose those things and rotate through them as you post. But your page shouldn't just be all sweaty selfies. Like that's what your challenge group is for, right? There should be a bigger message about your journey when you're sharing about your fitness. Like today I shared about, the self-defeat or like trying to talk yourself out of, reasons why you should just give up, or treating this like a diet, not like a journey. How many of people have started again on Monday? Well, like on Wednesday, I'll just say like, screw Monday, today's Wednesday, no better day to start than today, right? And just giving people the knowledge to know that you're just here to help them, here to support them. You're not doing this alone. You have an entire community that's keeping you going, because that's what people are missing, you guys. They're missing the community piece. We have to show them. Our posts are an opportunity to show them. It doesn't have to be a highlight reel either, you guys, because life is not really just about the highlight reels. I mean, there are posts of my kid eating dog food, and it's like, oh, like, how do you keep your kids out of the dog food? It's amazing what people relate to, and they're like, oh my gosh, like her house is just as chaotic as mine, and that's just what my life looks like. It's just hot mess mom, getting by, serving others, finding an alternative way to, be present in my kid's life and still serve other people, not having to succumb to like the traditional 9 to 5 or be, constricted by schedules based on when my supervisor tells me I need to work. So some of that, you guys, is really just getting out of your own way and deciding what it is that you're fighting for, because if you're fighting for something and your why is deep enough, no one's going to get in your way. Like no one's going to stop you. There couldn't have been one single naysayer to have gotten in my way, because I just woke up one day and decided my family deserves more. I deserve more. This is not a life I want to live. And I believe in this company. I believe in our mission, and I know that I can do this. But I had to be fearless in pursuit of that. I had to try to not let those little bits of fear creep in. I had to not let the negative comments from my mother-in-law on social media hold me back. I used them as fuel, not as, a way to squash me. It was like, all right, maybe I'm sharing in a way that is annoying to people. How can I fix that? Like be a problem solver. But don't take all those things like verbatim and literal, because again, that's one person's opinion. And that should never define you.
One more thing before I think you're going to wrap up with a little exercise for us. But one more thing. So you've been doing this so how long? You've been 4.5 years, was it? Is that what you said?
I'll be 4 years in July.
4 years. Okay. 4 years in July. What keeps you going and pushing through? Like you said, fears change. So initially it's like the initial fear is, I don't know what I'm talking about, right? Like and so there are now different fears, probably more things like, can I sustain this for the long term? Can
or
our people?
can I lead my team? Am I the kind of leader that my team deserves?
Yep.
I think, again, I just have to continue to develop and sharpen my tools that are in my toolbox, work on my personal development, because a lot of those things are limiting beliefs, where you now have this, downline of 2,000 coaches and you think, how did I get here? Like, why do I deserve this? I'm nobody special. I'm just another mom who has a desire to help people. Why me? Like, why was I chosen for this? But again, that's a limiting belief. So I have to just work on that. I have to just continue to show them and follow my footsteps. Like, you guys can be successful too. Follow my footsteps, take the process. I've worked very hard. I'm not shy to admit that I worked very hard for those first 2 years, so that I could be here, but it was worth it. Those sacrifices you make when you're building a business, for me, it was really sacrificing sleep, because I had to work when no one else, was doing the dance that you guys just saw. So, I had to work when they were actually sleeping. So for me, a lot of times my business hours were 5 a.m. and sometimes, up till 1 a.m. Like, if that's what needed to be done to get me where I needed to go. And you'd be surprised how many other moms are online at midnight shopping or whatever they're doing. Connected with a lot of people at that time. But all right, I do want to close with this activity for you guys, because I think for a lot of my coaches, this is the one thing that prevents them from their business moving forward, is actually just talking to people, and taking that fear of, it's not so scary, right? So it was presented to me like this when I first started. I have tremendous upline support. I'm part of Summer Tucker's downline. So we have a lot of phenomenal leaders that provide value for us every single day. So I'm very lucky there. But not that if you don't, I know you guys have that with Dan. I don't know what your upline all the way looks like, but you guys, success is on you and what you decide to make of it. Success is going to look different for everybody in this business. But if you want to do big things, you're capable of doing big things, right? But she, Lindsay Katarina said to us, she said, when you talking to people, it's just reconnecting with old friends, hey girl, how are you doing? How are the kids? Haven't talked to you in a while, just been thinking about you. And when she made it so simple like that, for me, the fear of that went away. Because when I saw invite as a new coach, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to be like one of those scary salespeople. Like, hey girl, want to join my challenge group? Like, hey, you want to work on your fitness? And I was like, I can't do that. Like, that's just not me. That's not how I invite. I build relationships. And so when she really took it down to a level I could relate with, where she said, just go catch up with old friends. Like, who are the people you've not talked to in a long time? Just start chatting with them. So that's what we're going to end our call with tonight, is that I'm challenging you while we're on this call is to reach out to 3 friends, old friends, new friends, whomever it is. Maybe you met someone at the park last week and you've been too shy to actually send them a message or something. Tonight, I want you to choose 3 people just to reconnect with. You're not inviting them to anything. You're just bringing people back into your life. That's really what a lot of this will boil down to, right? Like, making the decision of, a lot of us took our friends list and like trimmed it so far down, and we became coaches and we were like scared about having to refriend people again. And I was too. I was like, oh, like, I haven't seen these people since high school. I really don't care to ever see them again. But I'll tell you what, most of them I've added, and a lot of them have become some of my best friends. And they were not people, like, there were some people, I went to a big high school. We had a graduating class of close to 2,000. So I don't, it's hard to know everybody as it was. But I had to like pull out my yearbook. I was like, I don't even know who this person is. But I'm telling you, they've become some of my best friends. They started in challenge groups because I made that decision to just friend request and then just shoot a message, oh my gosh, like, it's been 15 years. Like, how are you? Look at your kids. How old are they? And just chatting. And then they can follow your journey, because that's how Facebook works if you're building your business there, you guys. Whatever you're doing behind the scenes is getting shown to them on front of the scenes. So if your inbox never has messages in it, what that you're sending or people are sending you, your stuff is being hidden, right? So if your inbox is just coach friends, your posts are only being seen by coach friends. So be thinking about who are people that you really want to form and get into your next challenge groups. Those are the people I'm sending Hey Girl messages to, because I know they're going to see my invite that I'm going to post in 3 days. That's sort of a little bit of, the way the algorithm of Facebook works. And you guys, I want you guys to kind of try that and see then who starts liking and engaging with your stuff. But here's your closing assignment, because I know it's been an hour. I want you to choose 3 people. I'm going to do it too while we're on the call together. and I just want you to reconnect with old friends. So, all right, we'll give you 3 to 5 minutes tops to do this. It should not take long. I don't want you to think about it. I don't want you to get lost in conversation. Choose 3 people, send a
Not
hey,
follow-ups.
hey,
It's not follow-ups. It's just the initial hey.
just connecting.
Yep.
Just reaching out and connecting.
All right, I may plug into power because I think I'm low on. I didn't bring a power cord down, so keep going.
All right, so I'm going to pull up mine because I've got my list here of 3 people I need to connect with. So every day, you guys, I connect with 3 people. I add 3 people to my network. I invite 3 people, and I follow up with 3 people. And this, for me, has been the recipe for success for the last 4.5 years, because you got to keep your funnel full. So I'm going to send 3 new messages while we're on the computer right now.
All right. Oh, we've got power, so we'll lose it. Go, people.
All right, there's 1 for me. Something to help you guys, because this is something I know I totally caught you off guard, but I usually do these in the morning. So I would suggest before you go to bed tonight is to write down who are the 3 people you want to connect with tomorrow. So you wake up and you know, and you're not just like searching your friends list and you don't really have an idea. Like, be prepared with that.
So you suggest that better, certainly better than just scrolling your feed and randomly, hey, maybe there's somebody.
I scroll my Facebook feed to act like a normal Facebook user.
Yeah.
Once a day or once every other day, and I give myself permission to do that. But
sure.
That's not business building activity. So know that.
Agreed.
I spent a lot of time scrolling early on, and I wasted a lot of time. So I learned from that.
Totally. How we doing, people?
All right, that's 2 for me. Again, I had my list out, so I had a little head start on you guys. But start making those lists. One of the first assignments my coach gave me was make a list of 100 people you want to help, and that gave me direction because I needed direction. I had no idea where to start, and I make that list every 2 or 3 weeks or so. And they're not always new people because not everyone's gonna become follow-ups.
Yep.
All right. How's everybody doing over there?
Good deal.
Perfect. See, and now you're going to set yourself up to wake up tomorrow and have messages and just reconnect. Enjoy the process of just reconnecting with people. I think so many coaches are so afraid of the invite process, but just take a lot of time to build relationships with people, you guys. If it never really works its way to an invite, that's okay. You're adding value. You're connecting with other people. And I promise you, if you continue sharing authentically and you continue sharing in a way that, is from your heart, you're going to connect with a lot of people and really be able to build your niche market. For me, it's the busy working mom. And that's who I speak to every single day because I was that mom. I'm still that mom. I'm a busy working mom in a very different way now. I don't necessarily have to leave my house, but I'm still working. And so sharing those, the balance, but why this is more a balanced life for me. If fear is something that is present in your life, is holding you back, Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, if you haven't read this is a great book. It's really good on audio too. So if you're an audio person, she reads it. She's very soothing. So read it during a time of day that you're alert, because at nighttime she might have put me to sleep. Not because the information is boring, but she just has a good voice. But there's, Dan, can I take 1 minute to read just this part in the book? Because I was the first time I listened to it first, and then I bought it because I wanted to like go through it and, highlight everything. But when I was listening to this in the car, like I had to actually pull over because it just like struck me so much. And every now and then I kind of like post it back out there for my team. But, she in this book talks about like living your most creative life, which really is living a fearless life, like doing the things that scare you and like not worrying about what everybody else thinks, because they're not the people that have to live your life, right? Like this is your life. So you get to write how your story ends. And so this part I think is so relevant to us. And I'm going to read this to you. She says, let me make a list of some of the many ways in which you might be afraid to live a more creative life. You're afraid you have no talent. You're afraid you'll be rejected or criticized or ridiculed or misunderstood or worst of all, ignored. You're afraid there's no market for your creativity and therefore no point in pursuing it. You're afraid somebody else already did it better. You're afraid everybody else already did it better. You're afraid somebody will steal your ideas, so it's safer to keep them hidden and forever in the dark. You're afraid you won't be taken seriously. You're afraid your work isn't politically, emotionally, or artistically important enough to change anyone's life. You're afraid your dreams are embarrassing. You're afraid that someday you'll look back on your creative endeavors as having been a giant waste of time, effort, and money. You're afraid you don't have any of the right kind of discipline. You're afraid you don't have the right kind of workspace or financial freedom or empty hours in which to focus on invention or exploration. You're afraid you don't have the right kind of training or degree. You're afraid you're too fat. I don't know what this has to do with any type of creativity, but experience has taught me that most of us are afraid we're too fat. So let's just put the anxiety on the list for good measure. She's funny like that in the book too. You're afraid of being exposed as a hack or a fool or narcissist. You're afraid of upsetting your family with what you may reveal. You're afraid of what your peers and coworkers will say if you express your personal truth aloud. You're afraid of unleashing your innermost demons, and you really don't want to encounter your innermost demons. You're afraid your best work is behind you. You're afraid you never had any best work to begin with. You're afraid you neglected your creativity for so long that now you'll never get it back. You're afraid you're too old to start. You're afraid you're too young to start. You're afraid because something went well in your life once, so obviously nothing can ever go well again. You're afraid because nothing has ever gone well in your life. Why bother trying? You're afraid of being a one-hit wonder. You're afraid of being a no-hit wonder. And I love that list because I feel like that pretty much wraps up every excuse as to why people aren't living their most creative life. Or maybe, for me, when I read that and I read it over and over again, reminding myself of those limiting beliefs I put in my way that prevent me from pushing for that next goal or posting that really vulnerable post on social media or whatever it might be. It's in that list somewhere.
Yeah, so good. So good. And I think, I've heard the quote real fast here, but that creativity and fear can't coexist. When you're at your creative best and you're free, it's just a freedom and it's light. So guys, wow, so helpful. Courtney, I just want to say thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Tonight. This was amazing. We'll definitely have this recording. So those of you guys who have downlines, to be able to make sure you tag them. I'll post the recording probably tonight, so you'll be able to tag them even tonight or definitely tomorrow morning and make sure they see it. So great stuff. And guys, I just would encourage you just to continue to use and then maybe go back and re-listen if that helps you to kind of do this. And I think Big Magic is I've heard so many people refer to that book as a really great thing. And actually it's on my list, so that's great stuff. So once
Thanks
again,
for having me, guys.
Yes, you're amazing, and we will see you soon. I will see you soon.
Perfect, and I apologize for the chaos, but such is life.
That is.
Mom over here.
All right, guys. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye. Thank you.